One thing that I feel like is objectively true is that when you have a president get sworn in and immediately is standing on business and signing a whole bunch of executive orders and just not letting a single day go by without making change, I think that's a pretty iconic moment in history. I mean, if could we pull up that clip of him signing those executive orders just back to back? So I do feel like it's like ASMR low key.
I'm gonna pull that up in just a minute, but real quick, what you got some tea over there? Do I see?
I do got tea. I'm always sipping tea, yeah.
And thank you for everyone watching right now. We had a couple of technical difficulties on the audio side, but we're doing good now. And thank you guys for joining. We're just pulling some things up and fixing that and straightening it out. So what you sipping on?
Chad, this is that lavender tea to make sure things are calm and chill.
You know, we need some of that right now. Definitely. So it's some good stuff.
Can they hear me okay?
Yep, they can hear you now.
Well, I told you I was live, so it's the real deal.
I'm going to pull
But
that video up for you right now, just real quick. So go ahead and...
it's all good. Moving along, you know, when we have him signing all these orders, it's so funny to see how people are reacting to some of these orders, but I do want to highlight a couple of them. One of them that I thought was so funny. Are you able to pull up that photo of like the list? If not, that's okay. But I thought it was so funny that one of the very first things that President Trump did is he went and changed the name of our section of the Gulf of Mexico over to Gulf of America, because everybody was making jokes that he was going to do that for the longest time, but I did not think that he was actually going to do that. But you know what? I feel like President Trump just really wanted to get his lick back against Mexico because he's still salty that they didn't pay for the border. And you know what? He sure did, because he went and snatched our Gulf back. And the other thing that people were really crashing out about is this whole thing with him getting rid of some of these DEI policies and some of this DEI legislation that we have going on, where basically what he did is he just got rid of the executive order that in federal agencies that they are forced and required to utilize affirmative action. So to all the people who are out there trying to say, oh, well, he's going to make it so that you can't hire people based on the race anymore. You can fire people based on the race anymore. Or you can fire people based on the race now. That's how I know some of y'all don't understand the Constitution. That's exactly why PragerU is making educational content. Because what do you mean Trump just made it so that black people can be hired and fired because we're black? That is not how it works. Civil rights are already in the Constitution. That's not going to change. All he did was make it so that you do not have to force yourselves as a federal agency to go and hire a quota of people of a certain demographic. But the amount of fear that some people had that this executive order was just going to be the demise of all minority groups really shows how little respect that you have for minority groups. Because I don't need DEI to thrive in my career. In fact, the black people that I know, majority of them, they don't need it either. We did not come this far to be given handouts and to have the bar lowered for us in order for us to be able to thrive in today's society. And I feel like there's so many metrics that prove that. You have over 2 million black millionaires in America alone, but you think that we need DEI in order to thrive, let alone all the other groups? That's so insulting. And you know what? When it comes to black women, shout out to black women. Shout out to black women, because they are, we have a sister in the room right now. Shout out to my sister over here. Black women are outpacing in education almost every single demographic when it comes to a lot of different academic achievements. So no, we do not need DEI in order to thrive. So I'm going to need that narrative to calm down. Now, before we came live today, I put a little questionnaire on my Instagram of what some people wanted me to talk about. And shout out to Hillary Ama. She wanted me to mention particularly this executive order that's addressing child citizenship and some of the illegal immigration things that are going on, as well as the new trans executive order. Now, when it comes to child citizenship, that's really referring to these anchor babies and how illegal immigrants are coming to our country and then reproducing so that they have an excuse and a legal right to stay here. Now, I'm empathetic. I don't want to see families get separated because of illegal immigration. That being said, you and your bald-headed baby can go, because neither of y'all were supposed to be here. There is a legal process for immigrants to come to this country, and it's time that we start utilizing that legal process and emphasizing the importance and significance of that. And then maybe we'll have more room to allow a more speedy process for immigration. But to be selfish and cut the line and then have a baby here and think that that gives you the right that you're going to stay here over the people who've been waiting for years to get their citizenship, the ones who are learning English, learning about American values, and learning how to pass the citizenship test, yeah, no, that's not what we're going to do anymore. And then as far as like the whole legislation regarding, or I shouldn't say legislation yet, but this executive order regarding regarding that there's now two genders, just however you want to word that we're going to acknowledge as a country. Yeah, we're going back to common sense. Common sense is so back. And I don't care how you live your life as long as you're a consenting adult. You go and you identify as whatever you want to, and I will fight tooth and nail for your right to do that. But what we're not going to do is sit here and act like there's this endless list of genders. That era is done. And woke people, you should be ashamed of yourself, because woke people have their foot on society's neck for quite a while. And the reason that you lost your grip is because you started doing too much. Because what do you mean your gender is two-spirit? Like, I still can't figure that out. And then there's demi, poly, whatever. We're not, you can identify that in your personal life, but what we're not going to do is when it comes to legal agencies and legal documents, no one's going to deal with that foolery anymore. Next. So another thing that a lot of people wanted me to speak on that at first I wasn't even going to mention was this holy groomer, or I was calling her the unholy lesbian all week, this woke bishop who went up on stage during the inauguration to basically try and read our new administration for filth. Can we pull that clip up, Mr. Rodriguez?
Pulling that up now. Let's see what we got. You're going to need a sip for this one. This one's a little ridiculous.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are
JD's always looking for the hidden
transgender
camera. He should be on
children
Office at this point.
Democratic, Republican,
And Tiffany's over it.
families,
Trump's been over it for
some
too long.
who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants,
It's giving,
who
who's going
wash
to
the
clean your toilets?
dishes
Donald
after
Trump?
we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals. They may not be citizens or have the proper documentation,
Then go home.
but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals.
Mind you, and see how she lied? See how she got up there and lied? Nobody is concerned about the immigrants who are coming here legally. It's the illegal immigrants. And it's so funny to me when people get up there and they try to make this whole thing about how who's going to do this for you? Who's going to go and get your crops? Who's going to clean your toilets, Donald Trump? You're basically saying that you just want slightly paid slave labor. Like, that's pretty much what you're calling for. Because why is it that you are so focused on having this cheap labor? And these are the same people who go and they talk about how we need to raise minimum wage. Well, part of the competition in that is you are competing with illegal immigrants who will come here and do a lot of work. They're very hardworking people. I'll give them that, because it takes a lot of hard work to get here. But they're putting their hard work in the wrong place. But these people come and do an insane amount of hard work for barely any pay. But that's what you want? You want these people to come over here and be exploited by our system that has flaws? That's as selfish as you can be. And you know, how selfish do you have to be to weaponize the pulpit to try to condemn this person who just won the election? The American people have already spoken. So you getting up there spreading your nonsense is not going to move the needle in any regard. And this bishop, not to be petty, but I didn't even know that a female could be a bishop. But excuse my ignorance, I didn't know that. So however that works and whatever that means, she gets up there and you could have been spreading the gospel. This was your opportunity. You had America's eyes. You had the world's eyes on you. And instead of taking that moment to truly preach the word of God, you decided to preach your own woke Bible. And for that, you are a very selfish individual. That's exactly why The View platformed her. The View is always going to platform somebody that is out for their own benefit and trying to pretend like it's for other people. That's a show that I'm surprised has not been canceled yet and has not been taken off of air. But all these people, they're so wildly problematic. And I have not seen this be confirmed yet, but shout out to this investigative journalist named Paul Sperry. He actually put this breaking news out there. And again, I have not fully confirmed this, but I thought it was interesting that he said the woke bishop who at yesterday's prayer service tried to shame President Trump into not deporting illegal aliens runs a sanctuary ministry at the DC National Cathedral that hides our immigrant brothers and sisters who risk detention and deportation from ICE. So this woman is literally a whole criminal running a nefarious organization. I want to know, who even let you on stage, girl? This girl does not belong in front of the American people. She belongs in a cold prison cell right next to P. Diddy. Now, regarding the rest of the festivities of what I'm calling Trumpchella, this inauguration weekend, it was a truly beautiful weekend, as cold as it possibly could be, but it was an amazing weekend, and it just shows how patriotism is coming back. There were over 5,000 service members who were involved in just all the different things going on in Washington, D.C. I even loved the moment where Trump pulled up the hostage family with one of the survivors of Hamas kidnappings, had her right on stage with him to show the solidarity that we have with Israel and showing that America is not messing around anymore. And there was so much fun going on. There were a million different parties. Everybody was trying to go everywhere. And as a conservative influencer, it was so much fun to be able to celebrate that the last 4 years truly feel worth it. Shout out to all my peers that have been fighting alongside me, trying to not get suspended off platforms and banned from platforms, and all the hate that we deal with, getting kicked out of our family functions because we just want to spread common sense. So to have this weekend to celebrate all of our accomplishments as a country and where we're moving was really, really cool. And shout out to my friend CJ Pearson. He had probably the party of the year with his new organization, Influence America, where he honored the 30 most impactful influencers in the 2024 election cycle. And I even got myself a little award and got a feature in Rolling Stone. So thank you guys for that. It was truly an amazing time. Yes, I was serving looks in that Rolling Stone. Y'all already know. But speaking of fashion, everybody was talking about Melania Trump out there looking sickening. Can we pull up that photo of Melania Trump looking iconic? That hat alone shifted culture. Like, we are bringing back beauty, because for far too long, we were celebrating the most nothing burger of standards when it came to models and beauty and health. And I always say this: when beauty represents nothing, then nothing is beautiful. And we are tired of that. We are making America hot again. Melania Trump was up there giving us Princess Diana Avenger, I should say. She was giving us Kill Bill Volume 47. She was even giving Melania Get These Ladies Information. And I'm so proud to see that she is getting her fashion icon flowers this time, because she should have been on Vogue. She should have been on Essence, or Essence is only black women, but she's close enough. She should have been on all of these different covers, because Melania, you are an unproblematic icon, and we love that for you. Now, on the other hand, I do got to throw a little shade at Jeff Bezos's girlfriend slash fiance. I believe her name is Lauren Sanchez. Now, she looked great at any other event. If she was wearing what she was wearing, I'm not a prude, so I like a little boom, a little bam. You know, if she was wearing that on red carpet, she looks terrific. But at her big age of 55, she knows better. We need to bring back that big-backed trans woman, Jules, who was talking about be mindful, be cutesy, be demure, and know where you are. For her to be wearing lingerie visible at the inauguration was doing too much. Wearing that when the president is being sworn in around all these sophisticated people with all of America watching, you are treading in hoe waters. And unfortunately, you are knee deep in hoe waters because of what you are wearing. And Mark Zuckerberg was about to be tempted by the nectar. Did you see that video of Mark Zuckerberg ready to risk it all? Can we pull that up, Mr. Rodriguez? Look at this man. He couldn't help himself.
Oh no.
This is a married man about to risk it all. And again, him sniffing like a dog, you can't blame him in this situation, because this is not the time or the place for you to have your lingerie out, Miss Mamas. And, you know, moving on along, speaking of billionaires, I do want to talk about these allegations against Mr. Elon Musk. People are now wondering whether or not Elon Musk is in Musty Antisemite. So can we pull up that video? I want to see the video that everybody's talking about.
Yeah, pulling that up right now. I want to see that too, because I've heard a lot of chatter about this, but I haven't really seen what happened. I've just seen some stills. So let's see if this is accurate.
I mean, same, because I was ignoring the video for a while because I just thought it was it was just such clownery to sit here and try to accuse him of being, I can't even say the names of who they were accusing him of being or portraying because it's YouTube. But let's pull up that clip.
Yeah, I'm finding one right now. Let's see. When did this happen? Was this at the inauguration?
Yes, this was also at the inauguration. So as we're getting that pulled up, you know, pretty much what happened was Elon Musk was getting all excited, and we know Elon Musk is a little autistic, and we
Oh,
know
that's
that
what
this
it
man
is.
gets really excited in certain situations. And basically, he was doing this gesture, and I'm not going to do the full thing because what y'all are not going to do is try to clip me and make a gif of me doing some crazy wild mess. He was putting his hand on his heart, and then he was sticking his hand straight out to the crowd. And now people were trying to say that he was giving NAZI vibes because of what he was doing. Now, if we're going to look at this situation with some nuance, calling Elon Musk an anti-Semite is crazy. He is not a Musty anti-Semite. This man has gone to Israel multiple times. He has been an ally for Israel for a while, with Israel's right to exist. And he even wears like one of these dog tags for people who stand with Israel. Oh yes, I don't play about the Jews. Shout out to the Jews. Shout out to the Jewish American princesses especially. So Elon Musk getting these allegations is crazy to me. Oh, here we go. So I really hate that people are trying to misconstrue what this is. But however, if we're taking a step back, Elon Musk, now you knew better. Now you know you're doing too much because the gesture itself is weird and unnatural. But Elon Musk, respectfully, is also weird and unnatural. So I don't know why he did this gesture. To me, I view him as like I kind of view him like Stewie Griffin, no shade. He's kind of like a little kid to me that also happens to be this wild genius. So I give him some grace that he did not have bad intentions when doing this, but I do hope that he learned something from this and that he needs to, reel it in with his excitement a little bit if he's going to be out there looking a little crazy. The other things that were going on over at the inauguration, a lot of people were wondering, was there a little bit of sabotage afoot? Because the logistics were crazy. Like, I was honored to be there during the weekend and watching all this history happening, but it was crazy cold, like 10, 15 degrees, and some of the lines were like hours long. But what really threw me was that it took until the last minute to move the inauguration to inside. Because first of all, I spoke, and this is hearsay, I'll give you that disclosure, this is hearsay, but I was told, third party from a New York police commissioner, that there was an intentional effort from Washington PD to make it as difficult as possible for conservatives to navigate the spaces of DC because it was almost impossible to go anywhere, where you would get stuck. Like, there was a point where I was stuck for an entire hour because every street around me, no exaggeration, was closed down and you couldn't get anywhere. And then moving the inauguration to inside so last minute, I feel like that decision should have been made a long time ago. A lot of people were saying it's because it's cold outside, but in my humble opinion, I think it had more to do with the amount of active threats that there were going on. I had been hearing about threats for about a month leading up to the inauguration, to the point that I was nervous about whether or not I was actually even going to go. So to wait until the last minute, I don't know if that was a strategic decision, but they did end up ultimately moving the inauguration to inside, which I think was better for the greater good of things because, one, people didn't have to be as cold, and two, it eliminated some of, eliminated some of the threat that Trump was going to have and that the entire family was going to have if they were to have been outside. And I want to give a shout out, though, with all the little flubs that happened. I do want to give a shout out to the team that put together the inauguration, because to put together that big of a production in just a couple days, and mind you, this was a day after there was just a hockey game inside of the Capital One Arena. They did an excellent job of handling that, and even got Carrie Underwood to be there. And I almost felt bad for her when there was the whole sound issue going off, which again, I feel like was sabotage, but you can't play with Miss Carrie Underwood. Her a cappella rendition of America the Beautiful was so iconic, and her singing it a cappella with live raw vocals, I thought was just such an incredible moment. It gave me chills to watch her, and that little moment where she was like, I can just sing it, because she is confident. Her mic is on. She's not like these modern artists, no shade to a lot of these artists that cannot hit a single note live, who have literal AI controlling their entire music. Carrie Underwood is really that girl and has been that girl for a very, very long time. And that being said, there were some people who were throwing shade at her. So with all the crazy people that are out here, I had to have a segment on this show where we highlight the goofy of the day. And the inaugural goofy of the day is Ariana Grande. Let me sip my tea, child. So, after Carrie Underwood just had this beautiful rendition of the America the Beautiful song live and a cappella, there were some shady comments being made. Can we pull up that screenshot of what was said on Instagram? where essentially they were saying, girl, find the note. And they were trying to say that Carrie Underwood was singing in the wrong key. And then Ariana Grande, and before I even go in on her, Mandy Moore also liked this post, throwing shade at Carrie Underwood. It's like, girl, Mandy Moore, nobody's been thinking about you since 2009. So first of all, Mandy Moore, move. Back to Ariana Grande. This woman is always taking an opportunity to hate on American culture. And it's so bizarre to me how she hates on American culture, because the BS that she gets away with would not be allowed in most places in the world. And I don't even believe in cultural appropriation, but the way Ariana Grande cosplays so many different demographics, she really builds a case for me to start believing in cultural appropriation. There is not a minority group or demographic that Ariana Grande has not portrayed being at some point. Goofiana Grande, this girl, she hijacks cultures, she hijacks marriages, and she elevates the most obnoxious of each of those groups that, again, would not have rights in majority of these other countries that she never has anything to say anything about. Ariana Grande is the same girl that was out there saying that she hates America because she was at a donut shop saying that these donuts were too fattening. Now, I will say she kind of did eat with that. She kind of did eat with the fact that these donuts are getting out of control, because don't even get me started on crumble cookie. That needs to be a whole nother episode. But what do you mean you hate Ariana, or you hate America, Ariana? I haven't forgotten about that video from your past, girl. But on the positive note, I will say I'm actually a huge fan of Ariana's music. And she did just get some Oscar nominations. So good for you, Ariana Grande. And I know that she just also announced that she has a new perfume coming out. So even with all the shade, I'm still going to be nice to our inaugural Goofy of the Day, Miss Ariana Grande. And ladies, go out there, buy Ariana Grande's perfume if you too would like to smell like a home wrecker. Next.
You're going in right now. You're going in.
Indeed. Respectfully. Now let's talk about the TikTok saga that went on. So TikTok getting banned was so wild, and just watching all the other social media platforms crash out was really an interesting moment in history. And TikTok now has completely shifted gears. They love conservatives so much. TikTok actually co-hosted a party with CJ Pearson over the inauguration weekend to celebrate conservatives and our impact, and then also invited a bunch of conservative influencers. We all went to a box seat suite up at the hockey game because they wanted to show us how much they love conservatives. And that is how you know we are so back, when TikTok, the platform that has been the most notorious for banning conservatives, is celebrating conservative creators. And you know what? I'm not mad at it. But what the ban made me realize is just the range of people that are on that app. Because first of all, you had people absolutely crashing out, and they were crashing out for like the most ridiculous reasons, that they weren't going to be able to keep up with certain people as much as they used to. I realized that a lot of these people on TikTok are so brain rotted. They really think that they are involved in these people's day-to-day lives just because they go live. That to me is crazy. And it was also so funny to see how people from other nations were saying how they never realized how loud Americans were until we were all banned from the platform. And those comments, like if you go through and just look up the TikToks now that it's back, of what people from other countries had to say since TikTok was gone, because that was just peak internet, because Americans were kicked out of the room. And then, but also it made me sad seeing TikTok be banned, even though it was for a short period, because it made me realize how many small businesses were going to lose their incomes. There's a lot of small businesses that work very hard, and a lot of them have been working very hard for a long time to get their brands, to get the exposure that they deserve, that they weren't getting until things like TikTok Shop, until TikTok started making it normal for businesses to do funny, humorous ads and have a place for that commerce to come. So I believe it's like 20 million small businesses were using TikTok. So it was sad to see that so many people thought that they were going to lose their revenue, but TikTok is back. Thank you to the conservatives who all fought for that. And one more thing, though, that made me realize, that TikTok made me realize, or just reiterated for me, is that Cardi B is so ignorant. Cardi B tried to go around the TikTok ban. This woman was so bold to post that she got a VPN so that she could still use TikTok. A VPN, if you don't know, is a little app that you can use to put yourself in a different place or a different country so that you can use it. She set her VPN to Hawaii. Cardi, Belcalis, Hawaii is a part of America. I already know you don't write raps, but that just leaves more time for you to go and open a book. This is one of the many reasons why you will never be the queen of rap. You are so far from Nicki Minaj. You are so ignorant and uneducated. And the reason I'm being mean to Cardi B, we'll unpack that in future episodes, because this woman is like the demise of society personified. And the fact that the left for so long and for 2 elections in a row now has tried to platform this woman as a means of representing the Black community and the Hispanic community disgusts me. This woman has no idea what she's talking about. And then when it comes to the ban itself, because a lot of people did want my take on it, I didn't think that TikTok should be banned. I fully agree that TikTok deserves to have a place here in America. What a lot of people don't realize is that TikTok has invested more than $2 billion with Oracle to isolate and protect Americans' data. That's the kind of misinformation, or the kind of information that nobody really talks about, but I think it's crucial if we're going to have an educated conversation about whether or not TikTok was this huge privacy breach. And personally, I feel like anything that China wants from us at this point, we already have given them. And I would rather drop ship my DNA directly to a lab in Wuhan before I allow the government to tell me where I'm allowed to get my information and news and content from. So, and also just to try to say that it was this privacy issue, if it was such a privacy issue, then why were both presidential campaigns on the platform if we were that afraid of China seeing what it is that we do here? An argument that I would have, at least respected more, other than the lie about privacy, is that it had to do with just the algorithm and the fact that it brain rots society, because we have seen some of the most, the only way I can describe this is crack-headed out people I've ever seen in my life get massive platforms over on TikTok. Like, can we pull up this Hamas supporter? Because I still have not gotten over this.
Oh, no.
Miss Whores for Palestine. I'm sorry, I'm fully convinced that the narrative of whores for Palestine would not be a thing if it wasn't for the ignorant people who are on TikTok. But you know what? This is America, and people have the full right to be ignorant. If you're going to choose to be ignorant, then that's on you. But fortunately, as things are changing, I'm hoping that more people are going to start putting more truth out there. Another supporter of mine, one of my cousins, her name is Chuganza. Shout out Chuganza.
Chuganza.
I like your name, Chuganza. Chuganza asked me my predictions in the next 4 years. Some of my predictions are that culture is going to restore itself. I feel like now that we're allowed to have more open, real conversations without so much of a fear of censorship, since that's going to be something that we're fighting against now, I think things are going to be higher quality. I also think now that we're pushing DEI out the door, you're going to see things be more efficient, higher quality, because the best of the best when it comes to any minority group, they're going to be in the same position that they already are, if they earned it and if they deserve it. And I fully believe it doesn't matter what your skin color is. It doesn't matter who you're sleeping with. And for most roles, it doesn't even matter if you can walk. You can still go and be the most successful person in your field. And I do think that that is how our culture is going to shift and elevate now that we are in this new era. Now, shifting gears. Let me know in the comments, have you guys been following this whole saga with Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni? Because they just put out this new film. It did really well. It's a huge blockbuster film called It Ends With Us. Now, what I knew about It Ends With Us, shout out to my baby cousin, Nina. She is a huge fan of this novel and has been wanting it to be adapted to a film for so long, and it finally did. And when this film came out, everybody was super excited for it. Blake Lively is in it. I always loved her. I always thought she was so classy. I don't know a lot about her personally, but I always thought she was just cool. I mostly knew her for her Met Gala. Like, she always does something huge in the Met Gala. That was the main thing I knew about her. But as the film got closer and closer to releasing, all these rumors started swirling that her and her co-star, who is also, I believe, the director and the owner of one of the major production companies on this film, started to have all this different tension. And it really came to a head when you saw at the premiere, Justin Baldoni, who again was one of the leading, most impactful people in this whole film, arguably the most important person in putting this film together, while Blake Lively was out enjoying the premiere and watching the premiere with all of her colleagues and fans and friends. Justin and his family and friends it looked like they were locked up in some basement somewhere. It looked like they had a little potluck in the corner of a studio while Blake was everywhere else. And I thought, that's weird. That's suspicious. But not long after that, we all learned that Blake Lively was accusing Justin of some really serious allegations when it comes to sexual harassment. And she said that he was making it such a toxic environment that the people who wanted to speak up were so afraid that they didn't even come forward. And she even put out a 80-page legal complaint and then sued him for what she was saying that he did to her. And again, I thought Blake was a pretty credible person. I never really knew much about her. She even then started doing defense before he could even do defense, where she spread this narrative that he was this well-financed retaliation plan, that he was going to do damage control against her before the movie had even premiered. And I started looking into it more, and she was saying that he was kissing on her and caressing her and doing all these different really, really wild things that ended up having everybody mad at Justin Baldoni, where he was getting dropped from his agency, his podcast partner left him, like all these different things were happening. And I just kept saying, wait, because I'm a firm believer that everything in the dark comes to the light, and it sure did, because Jason is now countersuing Blake Lively and amongst others, because he is proving that he has the receipts. Because if you recall just a second ago, I was saying how Blake Lively was accusing him of kissing and caressing all over her. That was during the filming, and it was during filming basically B-roll, where there wasn't really sound or anything recording. But what she didn't know is that there was a microphone on, so Jason came forward with the receipts. Mr. Rodriguez, go ahead and pull up them receipts.
You got it.
Please and thank you.
We're talking that little video you got of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We have no issue talking most of the time. You're never gonna find out.
So she's touching him too, which is typical with this type of film. They're supposed to show that they have chemistry.
Oh my gosh, we don't shut up.
And Emily and I have like.
And here they are talking about their own respective
literally
spouses.
We've done it for like 5 minutes. it's like, I think you would find it terrifying. We just literally look at each other and like
When I
time.
found a sociopath.
And like, time stops.
Yeah.
But like, that's just how it's been for us from the beginning.
No, we're like, oh my god, there's not enough time.
And they score again.
No. It's like, oh my god, I forgot to tell you something else.
I think that's cute. You guys are really cute.
I think it's more than cute. He feels so nosy.
I know.
He just noses.
And my nose is so big.
Yes. I was hoping that we could address this. It's not too late. Just gotta shut down. We gotta call an insurance month and just deal with
So
that.
she's telling him to get a nose job. Imagine if that was the other way around.
Just kidding.
No, it's true. That's why we hired Jenny Slate too. Our noses big.
I believe this is the part that she's accusing him of like caressing on her.
I'm not getting beard on you today.
I'm probably getting spray tan on you.
It smells good.
Well, it's not that. It's my body makeup.
And that's a key part too, because she claims that he was whispering sweet nothings in her ear and saying, "Oh, you smell so good." She made the joke first that it was about her body makeup that had that scent. So he was just, they're having that conversation. So no, it had nothing to do with the fact that he was saying that she smelled good. He was acknowledging that he made the joke about the beard, and then she's the one that brought up the tan, and then he made the joke about it smelling good. So nothing about this seems out of the norm. So for her to have literally almost ruined this man's entire reputation just to lie and be caught in 4K, it's like, girl, what are you doing? What has made you lose your mind so much so that you would go and try to ruin this man's career knowing that you just lied? And then I realized, I started looking deeper into it. Oh, who's the culprit? Guess who? Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift. So, some backstory on what happened there is Justin was invited over by Blake Lively, and this is now all coming out as Justin is putting some of his legal documents out, that there was a scene in the It Ends With Us movie that Blake actually wanted to rework, which is not far-fetched. She's a writer. So she sent it over, invited him to the penthouse. He goes there, and they're discussing it. And then pops out Ryan Reynolds, another blockbuster, very influential character. So he comes forward and starts emphasizing just how important it is for Justin to highly consider what Blake wants to put into this film. So he's just like, okay. He's hearing her out. And then guess who pops up? Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift pops out of nowhere and comes to quadruple down on the fact that Blake needs to now, or that Justin needs to listen to what Blake is suggesting. So Justin goes and says, yes, let's put this in the movie. This is brilliant. Now, as some of the text messages come to surface, let's bring up that longer text message. I'll put it on the screen so you guys can read the full context. But essentially, what Justin says is that Blake is very talented. He likes what she has to say, and that he would have heard her out and taken into consideration what it was that Blake wanted to put in the movie, regardless of if she brought out the big guns of Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift out there to try to pressure him into agreeing what it was. She basically extorted him with her A-list association to try to bully him into agreeing. And the ironic part is last night, as I was getting ready to talk about this today, I was going to watch the movie. I didn't even know this part yet. I didn't even know about the text messages yet. And I literally stopped watching the movie because I cringed so much during the rooftop scene. Come to find out, that was the exact scene that Blake wrote. So girl, you made the movie cringe and then lied about the whole thing happened and coerced him to put it in the movie in the first place. But the reason that I'm so particularly mad about this is because Blake was trying to have a Me Too moment, and to do that and have the audacity to do that in P. Diddy's America is so disrespectful. Blake, you live in Hollywood. You know how many girls are out here actually being extorted and coerced into doing things that they do not want to do. You know how dark and sinister Hollywood is. And this man gave you an opportunity to be in the film. This man has supported you. He listened to you. He was so respectful. He did every single thing that a stand-up gentleman would do. And it's caught on camera. It's caught in the text messages. And then what do? You go and try to tell him that you are a Game of Thrones character. Oh yeah, let's pull up that text message. Blake decided to tell him that she's Khaleesi, the Game of Thrones character, and that Taylor Swift and Ryan Reynolds are her dragons. Girl, you're breathing fire and it's your hot breath. And I hope your upper lip smells like trash because you're a liar and you did that in the most selfish era to do that in Diddy's America. But that's all for Respectfully today. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Go to PragerU.com. Check out all the rest of our content. And be back here on Tuesdays and Thursdays where we are always getting into some things. Love y'all.
You know, you were going in so much that your earpiece started falling out a little bit.
Oh.
You were that charged up about this whole thing. But since we missed out a little bit on the intro, why don't you just kind of give people the scoop who are just joining us to figure out, okay, where are we? What is this nice looking set? And just a little bit about you, just once again, just a touch.
Now me getting ready to Irish exit and then going back.
I had to do
this
it.
Is live.
Come on.
Well, I'm Xavier DeRusso. If you don't know my name or have never seen my face, I am a influencer here at PragerU, and I'm so excited to have my very own show, Respectfully Xavier, following in the footsteps of my ancestor, Miss Amala. She was unapologetic, and here I am to follow in those footsteps. But, you know, we're going to be talking about a whole bunch of stuff here, whether it's politics, pop culture, society at large. We're going to be getting into some things here and saying it only the way that my unhinged self can say it. And yeah, that's pretty much what we get into. So thank you guys for joining on this very first inaugural episode of Respectfully Xavier.